I'm joined now by Sylvia Keall, and she works with the Regina Palliative Care Bereavement Center. And some of the work that you do, Sylvia, involves helping people deal with the grief that comes when they don't know what happened to someone they love who's gone missing. How is that different, a different grief, than dealing with the loss of someone where you know what happened and how they died?
Right. Well, there's a vast difference. When someone knows that an individual has died, there's a body. They're able to go through a number of rituals that we have as a society that will help them through that process. Everything from funerals and memorial services to sympathy cards and casseroles to the door. But when someone goes missing, it's entirely different, and it's a crisis situation. It's initially a crisis. All the focus, of course, is on finding that person. And that goes on for some time with people, and that's the type of help they need, is crisis intervention. But down the road, maybe for 6 months, when the person still hasn't been found, at that point is where they're more amenable to some counseling, because friends are getting weary and things are happening maybe within the family that make it difficult. It can be very expensive to be trying to locate somebody that's missing. So some of these factors make it good to try and step in and assist them at that time. And what it is shoring them up. You have to flatten the hierarchy between the counselor and the person you're talking to. You have to be able to be a presence and to be able to walk with them in their suffering and know that you're not going to find an answer for them. You're just going to try and help them live with what they have to live with for perhaps the rest of their life.
And when they are living with that, tell me about how it can rise up some of the trauma of the initial loss of that person as time goes on and it really doesn't go away.
Mm-hmm. Well, most certainly it can happen when there's events in the media that come up. For example, if someone who has been missing for some time is suddenly found, of course the glimmer of hope they've always had widens. This has happened to them. This can happen to me. My loved one can be found. So there's that, or perhaps remains have been found and there's the uncertainty for a while about whose remains those might be. So it'll wax and wane over their lifetime, forever. I have talked to people who have had someone go missing like 30 years ago, and there's still struggles. And sometimes it's very, very hard on the family, because at a certain time when the loved one has been missing a certain length of time, the family will have what a noted authority in this area calls a family gamble. And they'll decide how they're going to perceive that missing person. I've had families say, we know he's dead, or we strongly feel that he's still out there, or she's still out there. The problem comes in when all the family don't agree on it. That's why you need to do counseling for the whole family together, so they can work through those difficult times when they might not always see it the same way, and realize that it's okay.
Are there specific services in our province that help people cope with the loss of someone who is missing?
There are. Regina Palliative Care Bereavement Services does have counseling for families of missing persons. By families, I mean any loved one that's affected by it. And right at this point, I'm going around the province with someone from the Bereavement Center, and we're meeting with groups and organizations to let them know that families can come to Regina and access specific counseling services for themselves at no charge. So no matter where they live. And so I think that's one thing that's readily available, and people aren't always aware of it, and that's part of what we're doing, the awareness campaign, and also to help teach professionals around the province why this is a different sort of a situation, and how best to help those people, because they'll run into them in various situations, general counseling agencies and so forth. So our goal is to try and help them.
Yesterday there was a memorial barbecue for Tamara Keepness, who's been missing for 13 years. Are things like that helpful for communities to remember and work through the grief?
Absolutely. If families can feel that there's people that still get it and are willing to help and support no matter how long it goes on, that's extremely important. And sometimes you have to take your key from the family. For example, one family who felt after many, many years that their son actually had died. decided they would bury his guitar and have a service around that. So it's a matter of working with the family to find what kind of memorials are meaningful to them. And if community's involved, that's so much better.
Thanks for your time today, Sylvia.
Well, thank you, Jill. It's been a pleasure.